Hey, and welcome to today's live Q&A. I'm Katie Keith, founder and CEO at Barn2 Plugins.
And I'm Sam Waynes, the resident YouTuber and marketer. And we have a great live show coming up for you guys. Plenty of people registered with their questions in advance. We will be going through all of those questions that were pre-registered. However, if you have a question for us live, you can, of course, ask us in the comments of wherever you are watching this from. So, yeah, we have a lot to look forward to. And Katie, can you kick us off with the first thing?
Right, so what has happened since our last live stream? Well, the biggest news is that we are now co-owners of a product called Setary, which is a bulk editing tool for WooCommerce. So I'll just show you around it a bit now. That window is a very strange shape, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so long and thin? That's really weird.
You might have to, you might have to bring it in a little bit.
Yeah, that's a funny shape, isn't it? Is that any better?
Well, it's very square now. Yes.
That'll do. Okay, sorry about that. So Setary is a really easy way to manage multiple WooCommerce products and variations at once. And by multiple, I mean like thousands even. If you want to make lots of quick updates, like reducing all your prices by 10% in just a few clicks, or making inline changes to a spreadsheet so you don't have to go to every product page. It's a much, much faster way to update your products. And we were particularly interested in partnering with Setary because, as well as us already having been aware of it, a lot of our plugin customers have very large sites. For example, our WooCommerce Product Table users, Wholesale Pro, Bulk Variations. A lot of our products are quite well aimed at sites that have many products on them. So Setary is useful for any site that has probably more than a couple of dozen products, really, and particularly being able to edit individual variations from one interface so you don't have to go into all your products. So we're now 50-50 owners on Setary, and we've also been able to offer a discount to Barn2 customers. So if you're a normal customer, you get 10% off, and if you have our all access pass, then you get 20% off. So you can get in touch with us for details of how to take advantage of that. So we hope it's super useful to our customers, and will help making it better and better. We're also planning to release a Shopify version of Setary so that Shopify stores can benefit from the bulk editing as well. So that's our first piece of news. We're also going to release a new version of Document Library Pro, version 2.0, on the 30th of April. And that's basically going to have a lot better usability. So it's going to be much, much easier for people to be creating columns for their tables of documents. And the settings overall has been redesigned as well. And then very shortly after that, probably not that release, but very soon after, we're also going to be launching pre-designed templates for our Document Library Pro plugin so that you can just tick on a template. I think there's going to be 6, and that will instantly update the design of it. And you can then keep tweaking it and so on to match your color scheme. But that should make it much easier to customize the design without writing any code.
Awesome. I'm just going to pause you for 1 second, Katie, because we got our first comment. It does look like a little bit more of a technical one, which we can get into perhaps when we get to this plugin, but we appreciate the comment, Hassan. He says, I've added a table product plugin, but the correct prices assigned to each user role are not displaying properly in the table. However, the pricing works perfectly on the single product template. And can you address that? So we do encourage all of the people who are seeking direct support requests to ask our support team. So you can go to barn2.com/support center, and I can even show you a link for that one as well.
I think I know the answer, though.
Oh, you do? Okay, good.
The most likely reason is caching. So WooCommerce Product Table has a caching option, which would mean that role-based pricing is not going to display correctly because you're seeing the cached version from when another user visited the page. So if you are having dynamic content like that, which needs to be different for different users, then you need to go to the product table settings page and disable the caching option. If it's not that, then that would suggest to me that it may be a problem with the user role pricing you're using. If you're using our own WooCommerce Wholesale Pro plugin or our Discount Manager plugin, then we know they work with WooCommerce Product Table. So it's almost certainly a caching issue. But if it's a third-party user-based pricing plugin, then maybe not.
Thank you, Katie. Awesome. All right. Now you do have some more news, I see.
Yeah, we've already got some more questions. So should we finish the news and then get on to questions? Okay.
Yeah.
So the next piece of news is that we are about to launch an AI bot for our WooCommerce Product Options plugin. We'll tell you more about that plugin in a minute and demo it properly. But for the purpose of this news, the Product Options plugin lets you create custom price formulas for a WooCommerce product. So let's say you're selling carpet, then you can allow users to enter the required width and length of the carpet, and then it will calculate the price. And it's really, really sophisticated, which means that you can make it really complex. So we've designed it to be as usable as possible, but it does allow very advanced mathematical and logical formulas and operators. So there's no way we can make it that easy. It's just advanced stuff sometimes, depending on your formula. So what we've done is created an AI bot that will create the formula for you. And this is available to launch now if you want to put the link on the screen, Sam. But it's not actually accessible from our website yet because we're still testing. So just show you how it works. So it says, how would you like your price formula to work? And I've written a description of a carpet that I want it to sell based on $100 per square meter. I have no idea if that's a normal price for a carpet, but it's just an example. And then I need to enter a license key because this is only for if you're already using WooCommerce Product Options. And then I'm going to click submit. And then in the background, it will calculate what's happening. And so here it's given us instructions for setting up the exact price formula that we want. So it's given me the formula, which I can copy. It's explained what it's doing so that if there's an error, you can understand why and adapt your prompt. And it gives you advice on how to add it properly into the plugin. So we're hoping that will make it much, much easier for people to add price formulas to their products. And the final piece of news, I think you're going to use that later, Sam, aren't you?
Yeah, I was just about to say I was playing around with it today. It's a lot of fun and it does work, but sometimes you have to be aware of, just aware of what it's doing so you can make tweaks to it.
Same with any AI, isn't it? You have to give it the right information. So if you've forgotten to put something important, like the fact with my example that the customers are entering the dimension in centimeters, but we're charging by the meter, then there's going to be an error in the price formula, isn't it? The bot needs to know that it has to convert the centimeters to meters. So things like that can go wrong, but it is working really well. And we've thrown some complex examples at it, and Sam will show us one later. So the final piece of news is we've added a few more discounts to our customer discount center. So we've got a discount center. This is the public version of the page, but we have a secret version of the page which gets emailed to people after they buy one of our plugins, which actually has the discount code so they can take advantage of the discounts. And it's got 64 discounts in now. 3 of them are new discounts which were added this month. And the new ones are a pop-up plugin called Firebox, which lets you increase conversions by adding kind of eye-catching pop-ups with whatever goal you want, whether that's to buy products or get newsletter sign-ups or whatever. A plugin called Nag Me Not, which You know, in the WordPress admin, there's always so many notifications. Nag Me Not lets you get rid of those. So that's a very important plugin. And Administrator Toolkit, which has tons of features allowing you to manage sites more easily, either yourself if it's your site or on behalf of your client. So there's now discounts for Barn2 customers to all of those plugins, which are by other companies.
Mhm. Just wanted to acknowledge that we have also had comments from Steve and Mark, and we will be talking about the WooCommerce Product Options plugin very, very soon. So just hang in there. We will be getting to your live questions as well as the pre-submitted questions for product options. Righty-ho. Did you want to jump onto any other questions in the meantime, Katie, or just jump straight into our first plugin right now?
They're all product specific, so let's go for it. And we were going to do product options first anyway, and that's great because that's what people are asking about today.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I'll first just demo the plugin. So this is a demo site that you can actually visit right now. And I'll ask Katie to bring up the link for this plugin actually. And so this is our product options plugin. It's definitely a flagship plugin for us. We put a lot of work into it. And I'll just show you how it works basically. So in a typical product page, if you had options like variations, they would only appear like this drop-down box. But what we've done is we've added things like color swashes, image buttons, text inputs, file uploads, price calculators, and the list goes on and on and on. And for each of these additional fields, you can even add your own charge to the product or to that field. So in this case, the text field for input adds 50 cents per character of text because it's being added to the cake itself. And the photo upload is an additional $10, for example. So if they want to have the photo put onto the cake, that comes with an additional charge. So that's just one example. Another example here is like this custom built computer. So you can choose from a list of different options for the processor, motherboard size, memory, and the list goes on and on. Down here, you can add things like color swashes and these text buttons. They work exactly the same as checkboxes, but instead it looks like a complete button like that. So yeah, many other ways that you can set this up, including conditional logic. I believe if you want to send something by post, you can have conditional logic enabled, so it will make new fields appear rather than what's there by default. So very powerful plugin, very cool. And we also added a live preview add-on to the plugin. I don't have an image ready to go, but let me see if I can find one real quick.
Your turn to see what random images are in your
Yeah.
downloads folder. Normally it's me doing this. And
Oh, this is a thumbnail
pictures.
from one of my upcoming videos. Okay, this works. So you can drag and drop this image around on the product, on the sweatshirt in this case. You can even rotate it, and you can make it larger, smaller, that sort of thing. And then you can apply it, and now you get a nice preview of what your product will look like with the image added. Now, of course, as the vendor, as the supplier of this hoodie, you will still have to confirm with the customer and everything, but at least it gives the customer an idea of what their finished product can look like. So yeah, very powerful, cool plugin. Now let's move on to the first questions, and let's do the live ones because we know they're waiting for their answers.
Yeah, I think one of the pre-submitted ones might be the same Steve as the live one as well, potentially. So
okay.
They're related questions. So let's cover them together because they're sort of related, I think. So
Yeah, sure.
we've got a pre-submitted one from Steve who would love to see image cropping in the live preview add-on. So that is not currently possible. It probably will be one day, although it's not on the immediate roadmap. So we would recommend using the description field for your file upload field to advise customers to crop it beforehand, and you can provide whatever information you want, such as the dimensions, recommended size, all that kind of thing. The only way to crop is, Sam, can you enlarge that? That crops it, which isn't quite the point. I realize that's not what Steve is asking, but that is the only way to crop. And a different Steve has now replied and said that is not the same Steve. So let's switch to the other Steve's questions next.
Okay, fair enough, Steve. Common name.
Okay. So Steve, who's watching live, is building a printed product website and just getting started with Barn2 Plugins and Product Options, hoping to create a product where he can upload an image and place it into a live preview using Product Options for portrait and landscape modes. So if the customer selects landscape, he'd like them to be able to edit a picture in landscape mode. And then if they select portrait, they'd be able to edit the preview in portrait mode. Interesting. And he's gone on to say he's working with Carl, who's our support team lead, and it's not clear if he can do this. He's using conditional logic, but doesn't have it quite right. So I can think of two possible ways. One would be to create two product variations. So to use this hoodie, you might have a blue hoodie dash landscape image, blue hoodie dash portrait image, and you would associate each variation with a different image in your media library. And that way you could set a different printable area where it's portrait or landscape, obviously, so that when you select the portrait variation, the printable area will be portrait and vice versa. So that would be one way to do it. And another way could be, as it sounds like Carl has suggested, using conditional logic, which is where you would have, say, radio buttons on your product page, one for portrait, one for horizontal. And then depending on which radio button they selected, a different file upload field would appear underneath, one which would link to a product that has an image. Yeah, I haven't quite got my head around that. Maybe the variations option is easier, because then how would the file upload field? I think you can link the file upload field to a particular.
Yeah, well, Katie's right that in the first instance, where the most important thing is the printable area. So whatever printable area is allowed will essentially dictate the type of picture that will be ideal for that sort of product. So you should set up separate images with printable areas and link those images to the file upload fields, like you were just saying, Katie.
Can you do that? My mind's gone blank. Can you link?
I made a video about this in January, but I'll be honest, I haven't taken a hard look at it since then. So I'm not 100% sure on whether that makes sense. But it does make sense to me that there should be multiple images with different printable areas as a start.
Yeah, I think when you set a printable area, which you do on the image in the media library, there is an option to select which exact file upload fields that printable area should be used on. So that should work with the conditional logic method. So you'd have to select it on the printable area in the media library.
I was just checking to see if I have any printable areas set up on my current thing. But I can show one right now. So this is a sweater. I can set a printable area, and just to give you an idea of how this printable area situation is set up. So I can set this as a rectangle, or I can make it more like a flat, landscape rectangle, or I can bring it up to more of a portrait size, something like that. So this just gives you an idea of how the printable area works. And then if I click on apply, this is the image. So edit.
I think you needed to select a file upload field. So in the product options section, that's what I meant.
Upload.
Yeah. So when you've used conditional logic in your product options group to have the radio buttons, portrait, landscape, and then two file upload fields, which conditionally only appear depending on which radio button is selected, you would need to then select the appropriate one here
and give them a different name. So give one
Yeah,
the name landscape file upload and the other one
yeah.
the name portrait file upload, and then you would apply it to the image in the correct way.
That should do exactly what Steve needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the cropping is something we'll have to add to our roadmap for the live
Yeah.
preview.
Yeah, I think it's a useful feature to be able to crop. That was the other Steve that wanted
Mhm.
the cropping. But allowing image editing is a big project. So it
Mm.
might be several big projects down the line because there's a lot we can do to product options. So the next thing is actually the answer to one of the questions. But then beyond that, I don't know if that would be top priority because I also want to add like layered images where when you select various options, it will layer things on top of each other. And I want to be able to add tabs and accordions so that you can structure your product options. And so
Mhm.
there's a lot we want to do to this plugin.
Yeah. I want to jump on to Mark's question next. He says, do you recommend creating options natively within product options or to utilize the WooCommerce attributes and variations? And I actually have a product set up with that exact setup. So I'm just going to show that one instead of this. Now, what we're looking at here is a product that's actually using the default WooCommerce attributes, and that is to say variations behind the scenes, but we're presenting them using the product options plugin. So that's to give them the radio button style and the color swash style that you see here. That's coming from the product options plugin. And in addition to that, we can add our own individual product options on top of those. So the answer to the question is it depends on how you want to organize your inventory. But if you already are set up with variations, converting them into product options isn't that difficult, and it will actually help with your current inventory management setup for variable products. So I think in short, I would recommend using the default WooCommerce attributes and variations and sort of converting them in the back end into these options. Unless, Katie, you have a point to disagree on that, I think that's the best way.
Yeah, I think generally that's good because WooCommerce variations have things like stock management. They integrate with other plugins better because they're part of WooCommerce itself, etc. But I can think of two reasons why you might not want to use variations. One of them is because the way WooCommerce itself works is that you can only ever select one variation at a time. So let's say you've got color swatches or checkboxes, which are variations. You can't
Mhm.
select red and blue and then add to the cart. You have to select red, add to the cart, blue, add to the cart. Whereas if you create that color option directly in our plugin, then you can have multi-select because we have more flexibility. It's not a variation. And the other reason is that variations can be a pain to manage in WooCommerce. So if you haven't already set them up and you need a lot of options, then you would have to create a combination basically for every single you have to create a variation for every combination. So if you've got 10 sizes and 10 colors, then you end up with 100 variations on that product. Whereas if you create that in our plugin, you just create the 10 sizes and the 10 colors and the plugin puts them together. You don't have to create that combination and add a price for each one. You can just say, right, red, add an extra $2 and so on. And it works out per option. So that makes it a bit easier. And I suppose the other reason is if you need option types that you can't use with variations, for example, the file upload field or the text field, you can't use with variations because that's not how variations work. So there's a few reasons and it depends on your needs, as Sam said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And thank you, Steve, for the follow-up comment. He says he's just about there, but maybe not quite yet. M- what do you suggest we do in this case, Katie? Because we don't typically do support calls as such, but we can keep working with you on?
Yeah, we do 15-minute support calls now. It's
Oh, yeah.
relatively recent. I think only EJ and maybe Akram from the support team are doing that. So what Steve would need to do would be to reply and ask whether he can arrange a support call, and then Carl would hand over to whoever's doing the call. I would suggest, Steve, that you also mention this discussion on the live stream, because before the call, it would be useful for EJ or Akram to actually watch this and see how far we got, and then they can just talk you through the final hurdle.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so many great comments today.
All about product options.
Yeah. So Ben wants to know what happens when you export this. Does it add a 3mm bleed for the print team? Well, I think what I was trying to say is that rather than sending the preview image just alone to the print team gets the original image that you received from the customer, basically whatever the customer uploaded. And you are, fully aware as a printer of products what the printable area is for your products. So when you set up that preview, it's more of an estimation rather than an exact science. However, when you actually print the product, that's where you get to use your expertise to see the vision of the customer plus your own expertise putting the print onto the product itself.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want print ready files with things like bleed, then this is not the product for you. There is one plugin that can do that. It's called Fancy Product Designer, and it's far more difficult to use than our product options. And it's a very complex piece of software. I have tested it myself, and we made the decision that we didn't want to make WooCommerce product options that complex. The live preview is a preview. It's not a print ready file. And so if you really need that, then I'd recommend Fancy Product Designer, but there is a big learning curve with that one.
Mm-hmm. Wow. A lot of interest in the plugin today. Love it. I want to address Sandra at this moment. Just give us a sec to read through this and make sense of it. So she says, I have a product with a complicated configuration, which is set up in product options, and it's a cable reel. Depending on the base model selected, the capacity is different. However, in terms of setting minimum and maximum lengths, the maximum applies to two number fields added together, the main cable length and the cable Y length. Is there any way to show an error message if the total of those two number fields is above the capacity of the model selected? Well, you could create the number input fields as a function of conditional logic, and then you could set the limits within those individual number fields. But I don't know how many of those you would have to set up. Katie, your take?
Yeah, the problem is combining them. So you can set limits on the number fields, as you say, but not the combination of cable length, cable main and Y. The
What
only
about
thing I
setting it
can
through a
think,
price formula? Can you get an error message through the price formula if the numbers are too high?
I don't know. Can text be the output of a price formula? You can set maximums and minimums in the logic for your price formula, hopefully using our new bot to do it. But I don't know if you can output anything other than I know surely you can't output anything other than a price. It just wouldn't give you a price, so that therefore you couldn't add the product to the cart or something like that. But that is a bit tricky, and you might need to contact support, and they can look into it a bit further, maybe provide some suggested workarounds or something, but that is a bit tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky because, like you said, it's the combination of numbers. It's not just having one individual number that's too high or the other individual number. It's the combination of them. But it does sound like a situation where you could utilize the price formula anyway. But I like that you've already put a lot of work into setting up the complex things. Of course, you can also just use the message boxes, information, description, and everything but then you're relying on the customer to, identify their own error, and that's never a great it's never a great setup. It's certainly not a long-term solution. Yeah, so
The
I'm not.
easiest solution would be to compromise on the setup. So instead of having those two fields combine, you would do it differently. You would allow them to select the maximum capacity or something, and then only display certain fields. It requires a bit of thought, but it might be easier to compromise than do something bespoke, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Sandra's replied, she says, thank you so much. It is an odd situation. I'm already using a price formula. There are a lot of variables on this product.
Wow.
Yes, it's probably getting quite complex. So you can do things like if the two fields equal this, then there's no price or something. But I don't think you can do the error message, but support could help a bit more with double checking that.
Mhm. Mhm. I'm a little lost on which questions we've answered from the pre-submission. So we did the image cropping, but we haven't done this one here. Let me find it real quick.
I think I've just put it up.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
That one.
Yeah.
So Sai says, can I only allow customers to type content instead of uploading the brand logo? I would only allow customers to type their logo name instead of uploading images. So that will be ready very soon. At the moment, no, you can only upload images and have that preview on the live preview that we just saw on that hoodie product. But probably in about a month, we will release a new version of the live preview add-on for product options, which will have text previews. And that will have things like allowing you to resize the font and choose a color and choose the font or typeface as well.
But in the meantime, you can also just allow a text field. So
Good point.
no image upload, simply just have a text field. Give the full instructions to the customer in the description, and make sure that they know what to do. Then they write their logo. Maybe you want to offer some different font choices to them as image buttons, like we have on our demo site, which Katie is finding now. Thank you. And
you can see because it's in the corner of
yes,
the screen.
I see the preview.
Exactly. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, here it is. Yeah,
that's definitely an option that has always been a part of our plugin since we first released it. So I don't know if it's a sufficient workaround, but it's definitely something that will work based on your question that you asked.
Yeah, so this demo product is a business card. So obviously it has lots of text options. So you can enter things like the name and job title and so on that will go on the business card. And we've also, on this example, used the image button option type to allow people to select a font. So that's quite useful. So the only thing you can't do is preview that in the live preview, but they can certainly be entering their text straight away.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Well, I think there's still so much interest in this plugin. I hesitate to move on.
No, we're still on this plugin, I think, looking at the comments.
Let's check Steve's question or comments. When in live preview mode, is it possible to enable scaling corner handles, but disallow stretching midline handles, which would distort the image? And if not possible, can I submit this as a feature request?
Yeah, that's possible, isn't it?
Yes.
Can you go back to your edit page for the
I will. Yes, yeah, I'm bringing that up now. I'm just going to share this tab instead and put it onto the stage. So when we edit this printable area, there are a number of boxes here that can be selected. And if I actually, then you can see it better, right? Okay, so image options, allow only one image per area, disable moving, disable resizing, disable rotating. Okay.
There isn't a constrained proportions, is there?
Well, I don't think it's possible to change proportions based on the demo that I was just doing.
Good point. Let's go back to the front end and upload a product and test that.
I'm doing that. So if I click on my image and I double click it, it will fill the area and then it'll just go from the sides. Oh,
So
but it
you
does
can't,
distort.
yeah,
Yes, it does distort. Okay.
so you can.
The
Oh,
only thing
look,
we would have to
Luigi, the
do,
lead developer for this plugin, has commented, so we may as well let him talk. So he says that we're already working on a new version which allows that, but it's pretty straightforward. So coming soon. Thanks, Luigi.
wow, so it's already on the features, upcoming features list. Great. Okay, perfect. Well, that's easy then.
Anything more on this plugin? I think there might not be for now. So
Incredible. All right.
yeah. Okay, cool. What's next then?
We have Document Library Pro coming up next. I will make sure that that banner is showing correctly. And is everything just frozen? No? Okay.
Yeah, I think we're okay, aren't we?
Yeah. I'll just bring my screen back.
Right.
Are
So
you okay?
I'm going to introduce this one, aren't I?
Yeah,
Okay,
awesome.
so Document Library Pro, you wouldn't think so from all these comments about product options, but this is actually our most popular plugin. Product options is number 2, but maybe not for long, but the rate this is going. So Document Library Pro lets you add any type of resource library to a WordPress site. So here we've got an example of the table view where we've got a table listing all different types of resource. We've got downloadable documents, we've got websites that and links that are hosted elsewhere on the internet, we've got audio files, we've got embedded videos. So as you can see, you can add all sorts of resource to the library. And it comes with a choice of layouts. We've got a folder view, which typically larger organizations like for things like government documents and that kind of thing, where you can drill down the different folders by category to find what you want. And we also have a grid view, which is more popular with more visual types of resource. Like I saw a really nice craft website, for example, where they were providing craft download worksheets and things using the grid view, which looked really nice. So that's Document Library Pro. And let's get to the questions about it.
Yeah, we have 2 very similar questions. One is more of a general inquiry, to say it the British way, inquiry.
We do not say it like that.
Yeah. How do you say it?
Inquiry, but you
Oh, you
just
say
spell it
inquiry?
wrong. Yeah, it just begins with an E.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Joel wants to know about combining Document Library Pro with password protected categories. And the next question is more of an elaboration on that same concept. So James says, I run a training company and we produce PDF certificates for our clients. I want to create a secure area on my website in WordPress where they can log in to download copies of certificates. And he continues, can a document library work like a client portal? I know that I can password lock other folders, but will they be able to see the names of folders belonging to other clients? Now, we have a great knowledge base article about this particular topic. So, for both James and Joel, then this is, let me just bring up my screen and maybe we'll take yours. There we go. Now it works. Okay, just had to bring yours down. So this is a knowledge base article all about this particular topic. And you can see there's also a video in case that's your thing. It's definitely my thing. And there's options to create a completely private, but what actually you want to look for is the section about hiding document categories behind password protection or user login. And I think password protection is the way to go because you don't want to create new users for every single person that you certify. That would just get hectic and crazy. But you can create these category login page and use password protection to hide. Now, the key thing that you want to know is, will the other categories be visible? Well, so long as you create a separate category with a separate password, then the only thing that that person will see when they log into that private part or category of the site is whatever you have assigned to them to be visible. And Katie can back me up on this. Yes?
Yeah, so you will only see what you have access to. So if one user doesn't have access to another user's category, then they won't see any of their documents. And even on the main document library page, they will only be able to see their own documents. So you could even send everybody to exactly the same page and they will all see different documents depending on their access.
Yeah, so on a really granular level, you could create a separate category and password for each user, or you could just set up yeah, I think you at some level you would have to create a subcategory for each user, right? In order to
Yeah,
create
each
unique
user
passwords.
needs their own category. Yeah.
Yeah, in order to be able to password protect each individual document, like within those categories. So, if you're uploading just one document per person, then unfortunately, yeah, that's the workflow. But yeah, say you had a whole group of people and they could all see that document, then you could just give them that one password for that one category, and everything's fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's on our knowledge base. You can search that up, and let's move on to our next question. Is there a tested approach for integrating Document Library Pro with an AI chatbot? Andrew wants
So
to know.
nobody had ever asked that before today, but I thought it
Ooh.
was a good question. So I have created a knowledge base article published today on how to do that. So we'd recommend using the DocSpot plugin because we already know that's good and we've used it before and so on. So this knowledge base article, there's the link to it, that will tell you exactly how to do it. So basically you need to train the bot in the data from your document library, which may just be the information that appears on your website, the document title, description, all that stuff. And it may also be the content of your downloadable files. So lower down in the article, we've added a section on how to allow the bot to actually crawl the contents of files and which file types you can do that. So there's a table here showing which file types DocSpot can actually read and so on. So I hope that answers your question and also helps other people because it's the first time it's been asked, but I think other people would like to do that too. Because while Document Library Pro, it has a search, it has filter drop downs. Maybe some people, particularly for a big document library, might want to just type something into an AI and get a result that way.
All right. I didn't see any new comments about Document Library Pro, but if you do have any additional questions about that plugin, we absolutely welcome your live questions. And let's move on to WooCommerce Bulk Variations. So I'll just pop my screen up now. And this is another one of our great plugins, which helps to deal with variations on both the front and on the back end of your site. So let me just give you an example of this now. The basic idea of this plugin is to create a grid layout, which allows for ordering bulk amounts of different items from within the same, how should I say this? Bulk variations from within the same item, let's say. So we have all of the sizes along the top. We have all of the colors along the well, along the side, yeah. And you can see here these selection boxes can be adding a bunch of products. You can add as many as you like, and then all at once you can add them to cart with one button press, as opposed to the process like Katie mentioned earlier in the stream, where you have to select first red, then small, then add to cart, then green, then large, then add to cart, and so on and so on and so on. So this just makes ordering way, way faster. Now, on the back end of your site, I'll just explain very quickly. You can filter these different variations into kind of groups, like filtering all sizes within the red color or all colors within the large size. And you can update things like the image or the price or the sale price or something along those lines. So if you're having a sale on red shirts, it's much easier to implement that in the back end using our plugin. Alrighty, and the first question about this plugin. Demi has, yeah, go ahead, Katie.
Okay, so Demi says, I have a complex pricing structure for a polo in several different sizes and colors with a quantity discount, then an embroidery option on top of that with its own quantity discount. Is that possible? So if you're using bulk variations, then to do the quantity discounts, I would recommend using it with our other plugin, which is WooCommerce Discount Manager. And WooCommerce Discount Manager lets you create discounts on a variation level or an attribute level. So, for example, if you wanted all of the red t-shirts to have a particular discount, or perhaps just the red small ones even, you can do that, and you can do it quantity based. There is a bulk pricing discount type in our discount manager plugin so that you can increase that discount as the quantity increases. So that is how I would recommend doing that. But that was only part of the question. So I'm just going to go back into Demi's question, which is then an embroidery option on top of that with its own quantity discount. So you could do that as additional variations. So you could create another variation for each combination that has embroidery. We're starting to get to a lot of variations here. It's not the end of the world, because like Sam just said, WooCommerce Bulk Variations does make it easier to bulk update your variations in the back end. And with bulk variations, if you did, actually, Sam, can you go to the product that has multiple variations? It's on the same demo site. It's like the hoodie or something.
Oh, the hoodie.
On the
sorry.
bulk variations.
Yeah, of course. So
that we can see how the embroidery option would look.
Okay. I
So
just need to find this one.
I think it's the hoodie, 4 attributes.
That's right.
Yeah.
So just like before, we have colors and sizes, but we also have drop downs for the additional variables. So, standard, this could be like embroidery, yes, no, that could be how it's implemented. However, like you were saying, there's this kind of calculation that has to be done for the bulk discounts. That could be done specifically by the discount manager plugin, like Katie mentioned, or you could actually implement the product options plugin, which we were talking about extensively at the start of this broadcast. That's why I brought up this product again, because in this t-shirt product, you can have your sizes, your colors, and then you can also have an embroidery option. And depending on how you set up the pricing formula, you can actually have bulk discounts as well. So before I add that embroidery, the price of a large, let's go small, because small is a nice easy number, 20. The price of a t-shirt is $20. But if I add 5 t-shirts, it's actually going to reduce the price by 5% on the entire order, because I've set up a price formula in the background to do that. If I go up to 10 products, it's going to reduce it by 10%. So that's actually something I can show you how I set that up on the back end, but I just have to find where I was here. Product options, and I can start to share this tab. Here we go, polo shirts. So here you can see there are 4 variables. Oh, maybe let's hide the question real quick so everyone can see that. Thank you. Okay, so there are 4 variables: choosing a size, that's radio buttons, as you saw, color swashes, embroidery, it's a simple checkbox, and then the formula, this is kind of where the magic happens. Add the formula, and then there's these bulk quantity discounts that are added into the formula. So when we hit that number 5, we reduce it by 5%, 10 by 10%, 20 by 15%, and so on. You can add more if you want. And you mentioned the embroidery. As a simple option, I've added a 20% price increase for when the embroidery option is selected. However, you said it also comes with bulk discounts. So there is several ways you can spin it, but effectively, no matter what you do, you can achieve it with this plugin. And I definitely recommend using the calculator to set that up.
Yeah, you need to add embroidery as a factor. So you'd remove your 20% there, and you'd need to add it into the price formula so that when the quantity is X and embroidery is selected, then the price changes accordingly. So I think we have fully answered Demi's question for both product options and bulk variations. So, well, if she uses bulk variations, she will need our discount manager plugin as well. If she uses product options, she can do it all in that plugin, but she won't get the bulk variations grid. She will need to display it using the styles that come with product options, such as the color swatches, radio, whatever that, like you've used here.
Yeah,
So,
it would be more similar to this page, of course, depending on her theme and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. All right. We had a few more people who were generally interested in some of our other popular plugins. One of those is WooCommerce Fast Cart. So let's take a quick look at that now. And
okay.
this is for Jennifer, who pre-registered interest in Fast Cart.
So our WooCommerce Fast Cart plugin makes it faster to complete your order. So what it does is if I add a product to my cart, then it displays the cart in a pop-up, which you can have on the right like this, or you can have it in the center if you prefer. And as you can see, I've not had to click through to the cart page or anything. It just happened instantly. I could have made it a little bit slower if I wanted and had a floating cart icon, but this is set up to be the quickest possible route. And you can also have related products within the fast cart, like the single you can see here, which is a related cross sell. And you can have as many of those as you want. And they change depending, of course, on what is in the cart. And there are lots of pop-up plugins available with Cart, like mini cart and side drawer plugins and all those things for WordPress. But what makes Fast Cart unique is that it also has a fast checkout. And that brings your checkout page into the pop-up so that the customer can check out without ever leaving the page. So you can see we're still on the page where we started, but we can literally complete our order from within this page. And if you wanted to speed things up even more, you could actually have this checkout open the second the customer adds something to the cart. So you don't even have to go through the cart stage. You can just take them straight through to the checkout. So I'd say there's various ways you can use this plugin, depending on the type of product you're selling. So I'd say that if a customer is likely to only buy one product, that's just the nature of your store, then you might want the checkout to come straight away. Whereas if you're trying to upsell and keep them on your site for longer so that they buy multiple products, then maybe just display the cart pop-up and so that they can easily complete the order when they're ready, but you encourage them to click on related products, for example.
Yeah, different products require different checkout optimizations. So for example, buying furniture or a car, you wouldn't expect to just do the checkout within 3 seconds. There's a lot of considerations, there's comparisons, there's all kinds of things that you need to go through as a customer. And you're probably not going to make that purchase on a mobile device. But, buying something like a phone case, you could probably just do that within a few seconds. So yeah, it depends on what you're selling, of course. Now, there also is a little bit of interest in our WooCommerce Product Table plugin. Michael says, I use Barn2's product table, and I'll be interested to see if I'm not taking full advantage of the plugin. Well, I don't know about that wording, Michael, but I get what you're saying. You want to maximize how much you can do with the plugin. So for those who are unfamiliar, I'm just going to give a quick overview of this plugin. Another very popular plugin of ours, of course, and it basically converts your shop page into a shopping order form, like a table. And so you can see here we have some details about the products on the left, as well as things like category filters, color, size, etc., and a search option. But most importantly, I think you can see that there are add to cart buttons with quantity pickers. There's these selection boxes. You can have either add to cart or this button or both. We've set it up with both just to show you. And of course, you can have variation pickers. And this also works with our product options plugin. So if you have variations to be picked through, color swashes and that sort of thing, you can also add them in the table. And now you can see I've added some maybe 5 items here, and it says add 5 items, and it shows me the total price, and I can click that button, add them all at once. Super convenient for wholesale shops and their customers, and obviously a faster ordering process just in general. There are many ways you can set this up. You don't have to have all of these different columns set up in this exact way. You can modify which columns you add and in what order. That's entirely up to you. You can use our nice table builder to set that up as well. You can even just have a product table with no buy buttons, just a price list. So they can't actually order it, but they can see how much it costs. Or vice versa. You could even just remove the price. I don't know why you would do that, but you can.
Yeah, people do, because sometimes they use
Mhm.
it for things like without the buy column at all. They just
Mhm.
use it to display their product catalog, maybe on a hidden page on their site. It might be a B2B only site. So you do see product tables without the e-commerce functionality, interestingly.
Mhm. You can actually use custom fields and taxonomies in the table. So we have a couple of examples like this on our site. So you can add things like links, icons, and other types of custom fields that aren't typically within WooCommerce, but you set them up for yourself on your site. I'm trying to think what other really unique ways that Michael can be using the table. Did we add the customized looks to this product table yet, or are they
Yeah,
just in
that was
post?
maybe a few months ago. So it now
Uh,
has built-in table templates for the design. So it may be that he hasn't customized the design as much as he could.
uh-huh.
But I think the thing I see people getting wrong the most with product table when I see it on customer sites is the elements above and below the table. So if you this one
Right.
actually is a good example because they've hidden them. A lot of sites just have a few products in the table, and yet they've got things like show 5 of 25 products or something, and they've got all this clutter which is actually only designed for sites with lots of products. So if the table doesn't have lots, you can remove them. You should
Mm.
remove the search box if all your products are easily visible because you've only got 10 of them. So let's go back to the homepage of the demo to show what
Okay.
else could be there.
Yeah, I want to do that. I also want to show how to remove it on the settings page, which I've just loaded up as well.
Yeah.
So
So
in
here,
this example,
filters and the
mhm.
search box, because this is a big table. And I often see big tables where they have not enabled the filters, which is a real shame because it makes it so much easier for customers to find products. So I
Mhm.
think, yeah, go through the demo. As Sam has shown, we've got tons of products on the demo. So look through and think what features of which table are relevant to your site and enable those features.
So on the settings page, just in case you guys are already using the plugin, you can disable the select all button. You can disable or hide. Uh, you can show hidden products. I'm trying to find. Oh, you can hide the table header. You can hide the search box by disabling it. You can move the number of products found to below the table. You can basically hide things by selecting hidden, right? And these
Yeah.
are all on the main settings page. So this is something that you can definitely make great use of depending on how you're using the tables. So I see we've got some unanswered comments. So let's just quickly
Yeah.
have a look. Okay. Uh, Katie, if
Let's
you already know what's there, go ahead.
Yeah, let's do marks then, which is, can you group products by categories in the product table? So what you can do is you can choose to order the product table by category. so that you've got all your products listed in the same table by category, and you would then have a categories column so that people can see why they're ordered in that way. We sometimes get feature requests for kind of separated tables, like, so let's say you've got a merged row which is the t-shirts category and then all the t-shirts, and then you've got another merged row which says a header for hoodies. We haven't implemented that, and we probably never will, because it would break the sorting. So if you can imagine that you've sorted it like that, and then someone wants to sort by price, what happens? It kind of just all falls apart. So we've intentionally not implemented that and provided other ways to do it. So you can sort by category, and then the customer can resort by any other column. But you can also create separate tables, one for each category. So you might have one product table on your page for t-shirts, and then a hoodies heading directly on the page, and then a hoodies product table, and so on. So there are multiple ways to do this.
Yeah, awesome. I just wanted to address Michael, because he's been waiting for a few minutes with this question about Fast Cart. And the answer to your question, Michael, is yes, the checkout does have a scroll feature. So no matter how many additional things you have in your checkout, they will still be there. You just have to, your customers will just have to scroll a little bit further before they get to the final steps.
Yeah, it's probably worth mentioning that WooCommerce Fast Cart will work with any checkout editor plugin, because the pop-up checkout is basically the same as your checkout page. So there are lots of plugins that you can use to add extra fields to the checkout, and so long as they appear on your main checkout page, that will pull through to the pop-up checkout in our plugin.
Yeah, awesome. And Mark says, great, thank you. Okay. Wow, wow, oh my gosh, that hour has just flown by, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a
So
lot of
thank
questions.
you guys, everyone who turned up today with your live questions. Thank you for showing up. And we do have more upcoming live streams every month. We run them. So you can pre-register by going to barn2.com/events. And the next one will be 15th of May at the same time as this one. So yeah, we look forward to having you join us for that one.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. Yeah, check in next month, and in the meantime, obviously contact our support if you have any other questions. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.